All right, ladies and gents, welcome to today's video. My name is Taylor Benchard, and we're going to talk about imposter syndrome, specifically for those of you who are looking to start an agency and or are already in the process of starting an agency, and you feel this thing called imposter syndrome. Okay, now let me just explain to you that yes, I have felt this probably to a degree beyond most people. When I started the agency Bitter AMS, I was so nervous to show my face online that I actually basically lied and said I couldn't because I was working with the company under an NDA, and I was just freaked the F out. Okay. I was so nervous to show my face because, one, I didn't really feel like I was good enough to, be considered an expert in the space of Amazon advertising at such an early time when I was so new to the space itself. So yeah, didn't have a profile photo for months, and basically was lying about why I didn't have a profile photo. The truth was, it was just a lot of imposter syndrome. Okay, now here's what I wish I had known when I was dealing with this, and unfortunately I got over it, but the reality is a nice little graphic here on the bottom left-hand side. So there's this imposter syndrome, which is like what you know versus what you think others know. And the way you could sum this up for an agency is like, your level of expertise and experience in the particular service that you're offering to the particular audience that you're offering to versus everyone else. And typically you feel like it's so small and that you're not good enough relative to everyone else because you're very new to whatever it is that you're doing. Okay, that's very common, and that's what I dealt with, and it was very hard to kind of get over. It was a lot of fear and anxiousness, etc. So here's how you can get rid of it when you're just starting out. Let's imagine that I have no experience in Amazon advertising, and I'm in that same situation where I was dealing with a lot of imposter syndrome in the beginning. One thing I wish someone would have told me is like, what are you freaking out about? Okay, why are you so scared? Well, I'm scared that the clients aren't going to get the results they want, and they're going to want to, they're not going to be happy, and then I'm going to be like, everyone's going to realize that I'm just like not good enough, etc. Well, first of all, if you're worried about the clients aren't going to be happy with your service, you can mitigate the risk. Okay, well, why are you worried they wouldn't be happy? It's because they're paying you money, right? And what if they weren't paying you money? What if you were doing it for free? Well, then you wouldn't be worried at all. You might, beg the question of why would you do it for free? But the reality is well, you got to start somewhere. And if you are truly dying of imposter syndrome and you've become stagnant and you've frozen in your ability to take action because you're so nervous and scared, well, just get rid of the risk, okay? Maybe instead of charging up front, you can tell the client, hey, look, if you're not happy with this service, I don't want you to pay me, but if you're happy at the end of the month or at the end of the next 2 months, here's what I would charge, and and you can pay me. This is how I like to work. Okay, great. You can do something like that. That's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Now, if you're not freaked out enough to where you feel like you have the confidence to where you can still charge the client, great. Go for it, charge the client, but don't go and spend all that money. Save that money and be ready to give them a refund or even a discount or a rebate on the services if you feel like they're not as happy as they should be. Maybe they want to continue working with you, but they're just not super happy with your overall service performance, or at least they're not happy to the extent where it's worth the full price of whatever you're charging. Maybe it's worth half the price, etc. Okay, great. So again, this is mitigating the risk, which will help you relieve yourself from that feeling of like anxiousness for, I don't know if I'm good enough, etc. Blah blah blah. So many other people are probably so much better than me, etc. 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 Okay, look, no one is like, you can't compare yourself to anyone when you're doing it for free, because everyone else that you're worried about having exponentially more experience would never do it for free. So it should remove a lot of the risk if you're positioning your pricing in a way where you charge at the end, end of month, if they're happy with the service, or if you're willing to even do it relatively very cheap. We'll just say that in the beginning, which is okay in the beginning when you're starting out. It's okay. The next one is just invest in your skills. So, part of the reason why you're having this level of imposter syndrome is one, the fear of the client not getting the results that you're promising them, and then of course not being happy and talking poorly about your name, and then you have the fear that you're absolutely effed and you can't get any clients in this space and your name will be ruined. There's a good quote: it takes 10 years to build up a reputation. It takes one day to ruin that 10-year reputation, and that's relatively true. So it's a natural fear, and it's okay. But one of the things you can do to mitigate the risk or mitigate that fear is to invest in your skill. So one of the first things I did when I started when I got some paying clients, was I found the best person in that space, Amazon advertising, at that time. I bought their course. I believe they had a course. And I paid them for one-on-one consulting time. It was like $4,000 or something like this. And that made me feel so much better about my abilities to deliver on the service, but also just self-confidence. When you've invested in yourself, you're going to feel it. And you're going to feel a lot more confident in your ability to deliver on the service that you're promising to deliver on. So, buy a course, buy some training, pay someone for some consulting one-on-one. You can use clarity.fm if you really want to find some legendary people with a lot of experience. And you can ask these people on clarity.fm, if you want to become a CRO specialist, you can go and find CRO specialists on clarity.fm. You can Google it. You can try to find free videos on YouTube. Not only did I pay for stuff, I also watched lots of free videos. I read as many blog articles as I possibly could, and I took as much action as I could to also turn that knowledge into experience. So these are typically the two things that I would say will combat imposter syndrome the most. Is one, figure out your pricing, reduce it, promise, charge at the end of month or whatever if you're really worried about the pricing and the client not being happy with your service. And two, invest in your skill, okay? If you don't have money to invest, that's fine. You can go, there's lots of stuff on YouTube that's free, that's very good. And there's probably some free blog articles that are also very good. At the moment you start making some money, it's highly beneficial that you invest in your skill even further. You should never stop investing in your skills, but especially in the early stages, it will put your mind at peace and it will hopefully eliminate your imposter syndrome. So these are the two things that I would say helped me the most. I didn't do so much regarding the pricing stuff. I did actually in the early days reduce retainers for certain people that I felt like my retainers were too high for. But the primary variable that helped me the most was investing in my skill, was when I purchased that course and I paid that dude for consulting to help me become a better service provider in the Amazon advertising niche. So ladies and gents, hopefully this is helpful for you if you're looking at starting an agency. If you're already starting an agency and you're dealing with imposter syndrome, it is a real thing, and I experienced it very intensely, like I said, to the point where it was like I was afraid to share my profile photo. It was like freaked me out to share my face on the internet. So I know what it's like. This is what helped me. Hopefully this helps you as well. Much love, you ladies and gents. There's only one thing I ask. If you hit the subscribe button, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you have video ideas, please let me know your video ideas in the comment section. Always looking for more ideas. It's difficult to make like 2-3 videos a week. Coming up with ideas seems to be the hardest thing. So your ideas are appreciated, and hit the like button as well. Thanks so much, you guys. Much love. Ciao.